Morning, everybody. It's 8:10 a.m. It is September 18th. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Now, yesterday we have FOMC. We got the expected quarter point basis cut. Everybody expected that. uh, what is it? Mirren? I think Mirren's his name. That's the one Trump appointed. He, of course, voted for a 50 point basis cut. That didn't happen. Then there's the Fed dot plot, all that stuff. We're not going to get into that too much. I don't have to read into that too much. We have to read into price action and the structure that's set up here, right? Here, you don't sit there and you go over the numbers. That's not going to sit there and make you money in a trade. It's just not. So we don't need to discuss that, but that's what happened yesterday, right? I was stalking along for my de-risk trade yesterday. It would have worked when I threw in the towel. I was just like, all right, you know what? I don't know if this can happen. I would have got about a 2-to-1 on my trade if I would have took it. That's fine. It would have worked. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of FOMC days at all. And then once that, actually shut down my trading platform. Right, I saw the rate and I didn't even see what the market was doing until later. Typical FOMC, whipping across, making you feel like something's gonna happen, and then it really makes the real move after. So now we're gapping up in the markets, pretty big gap up. And again, those are always hard to trade. They're not easy. Okay, big gap ups are not easy, especially, you got semiconductors up almost 3%. Boy, oh boy, right? I just saw NVDA invested 5 billion into Intel. It's making Intel shoot up like 26% or something like that. AMD is dropping like a stone. It was down a lot more earlier, almost 5 to 6%, set down to 4% right now, based on that little, not merger, but like collaboration. Um, that's what's going on. Uh, we have today jobless claims, and it's kind of Philly Fed, I believe. But today, the rollover is still in progress. It's pretty much, I would think, I didn't check the volume today. I would check the September contracts. Probably not got much volume left in it. Now, tomorrow's quad witching. Quad witching. Big changes usually happen after quad witching because that's monthly expiries of stocks. That's options on futures expirations. That's futures contracts rolling over and index options expiring. That's why it's quad witching. Okay? So all those expire tomorrow. A lot of money will come off the table. Okay? So, yesterday was pretty much unchanged. Okay? All that whippiness, it pretty much it closed a little in SPY closed a little above the previous day's close, and then in Nasdaq it closed a little below the close. So, but really, it was just smoke and mirrors. Okay, typical FOMC stuff. Alrighty, why don't we get right into it? Oh, that's not what I wanted to put up there. Sorry. Alright, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That's how I come up with game plans for you guys. All right. I also use Anchor View Hubs, my trusty market internals. Lets me know what's going on under the hood. What's going on under the hood. And my executioner is my book map. And of course, the weekly expected move indicator. And what happened yesterday was NVIDIA hit its expected move to the downside. And it hit it to the tick prior to FOMC, like literally right to the tick. It was bouncing off of it, bouncing off. There's also a key monthly level at 168.8, bounced off that as well. And now where's NVIDIA? Yesterday, NVIDIA closed at 170.29. We're at 175 right now. Big move up in NVIDIA, partnering up with Intel, taking AMD down. Okay? Now, the negative news was China saying not to buy NVIDIA chips. Okay, AI chips. They weren't happy with the new model, I guess. It was not as strong. So, but that's the news this morning. That's the news this morning, the Intel and NVIDIA collaboration. Okay. Now, I got off into a tangent. That's the expected move, right? So hopefully, my good friend Rosita, she did finally put that on the chart. She texted me yesterday. NVIDIA hit its expected move. It actually didn't hit it when she mentioned it to me, right off, like to the tick. Maybe if you're looking at a larger time frame, it might have looked like it did, but then it actually did. And then in my Discord, I actually mentioned I was in a call with one of my friends that trades, and I was telling him that's probably the bottom. NVIDIA hitting that expected move, and we're starting to bottom out, and there was a lot of sellers that were not getting paid. I said, we're going to move up, especially when we like double bottomed below last week's highs in the QQQ. I said, we're going to rise up. I said, I'm not going to sit here any longer. I'm like, let it, if the trade happens, and like I want to say like probably 10 minutes after I shut down, it happened, but that's fine. And then the FOMC was coming, so hopefully you subscribe and set an alert. All right, to my channel. I'll give you the market story, give you the leaders and the laggards, the market news, the economic calendar. Okay, let me be your morning coffee, water, tea, and just listen to what I'm saying about markets. You're going to know why the market's doing what it's doing. Okay, you don't have to be a trader to enjoy the beginning of my stream. Okay, so come and sign up to my YouTube channel. Okay, now if you want more in-depth analysis, intraday commentary, videos, audio messages, trades, you're going to sign up to my Discord. That is Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up, and why wouldn't you? It's free. Okay, check it out. Every morning I give you the link to my YouTube live stream. And then, you can go to my live market updates. This is from yesterday, right? Saying everything that's going on, telling you step by step what I'm seeing. And then I showed you that NVIDIA expected move to the downside. Right there. That's the indicator. Where do you get it? Right here, weekly expected move. Put it on your charts. You can put it on your desktop app, your Thinkorswim. Once you do that, you can put it on your app on your phone. Okay. Okay, it's very important, very, very important to see that stuff. All right? Very, very important. Now, yesterday, I did a trade video. I edited it together, and then I give you, this one's I made under a minute. They're not easy to put under a minute, folks. Okay? But that's where I throw my recaps. Take a look at it, watch it, give me comments, questions about it. Okay? Check it out. Now, I can't even fit everything I look at in there. Okay? It's just I'm trying to put the highlights of why I entered the trade. Now, for you guys in the Discord, I already gave you guys a video that, it doesn't have to be under a minute right here, why I took the trade. So, like, it's at a slower pace, So let me know what you think. I know shorts nowadays gets people attentions, but obviously, I'd like to do a long form one, but I would like more people to be involved. If I'm gonna put that out, I don't want to do that and then like get not that many views, right? Because that's more productive for me, right? And I do look at a lot of stuff, I have to be honest with you. I do, but I want to make something clear. My setup of my trade is not hard. I just look at certain things at my own pace, and then I'm like, oh, I want to go along. I got to see this. I mean, people who are in my room know that, like, I'm not like, this has to line up and that has to line up and like, I'm seeing things, and I'm just like, oh, that happens to be confluence. Oh, that happens to be confluence. I'm not staring at footprint. I'm not staring at bookmap. That's that's the difference, right? When you've been trading a while and you have the tools, they're just tools. Everything's probabilities. I'm not fixated on my expected move. I'm not fixated on my footprint or my bookmap. Those are just little tools. And then once I get a plan, if I get extra confluences, hey, just give me more confidence. That's really all it is about, right? Don't get me wrong. In the beginning, when I'd see all this stuff, when I'd have all this stuff I looked at, it would overwhelm me. I would want to follow one thing because it's showing me something, and I'm like, ooh, shiny new tool, and you start to trade on the shiny new tool, and that's not really good trading. Okay, it's not really good when you do that. You want to just be open, let the market come to you. Okay, that's all I can say. Now, is that easy to say and do? No, it's easier said than done. It's not. It's not easy. Okay, not easy at all. Alrighty. Why don't we just get right into futures? Now we're past FOMC. Rollover is we're probably going to get more of a normal move in the markets. So let's go to futures. Not sure who's with me this morning. I know Documents made a comeback yesterday. And I know Rosita is not here. That's interesting. She's a busy woman. Mark I've been seeing in the mornings. If I have somebody here, you could say hi, hit the heart, show me something here. But if not, that's fine. If not, that's fine. You catch it later. You catch it later. Let's look at Bitcoin's the leader here. Bitcoin's up 1.47% at 117. Ethereum's up 1.39. Russell's up 1.29. And remember, the Russell's very sensitive to rates, so that was good for Russell. Nasdaq's up 1.15 with the semiconductors blowing out at the park in the XLK. ES up 0.77, crude's up 0.60, the Dow's up 0.49, the dollar's up 0.21, the dollar's 97. Whew. Silver is up 0.09. Silver is up 0.09. 30-year bonds are flat. 10-year yield is down. Gold is down 0.37. The VIX is down 5.66%. Jeez. What a bullish September this is, right? What a bullet. It's not over, though. September is not over. And like I said, quad witching tomorrow. A lot of changes happen after all that money is cleared off the table. So September looks great. I don't know why. I feel like there's like a sleeping tiger, lion, something. And again, I just feel like, trust me, this is how the market works. Everybody's like, woo, yeah, longs. And out of nowhere, something's like, oops. That's how it works. It's complacency. The VIX is now crushed down to 14. Wow, everything's just moving higher. Maybe people are getting FOMO because of the cuts. Like I said, I don't have confidence in swing plays right now. I do not. Okay, so moving on. Max Evans. There's your NVIDIA. Up 2.9%. 2.90%. Almost 3%. Coinbase up 1.72. Broadcom up 1.44. Google just had an antitrust, I believe, lawsuit thrown out in China. That's pushing Google up. Remember, the expected move to the upside is 251.08. That has struggled this week after hitting the expected move to the upside. Remember, 70% of the time, we close within that expected range. So keep an eye on that. Tesla, 430. Expected move to the upside, 432. Pre-market has hit that a couple times. I don't think there's much juice left there. Now, expected moves probabilities. Okay. Up 1.12%. All right. Is there a laggard today? Yes, AMD. AMD is fighting back, though. It was down almost 6% earlier. So it's fighting back. Let's look at top sectors. All right, what we got? Uber here is up 1.17%. Qualcomm almost up 1%. Qualcomm. I am an owner of Qualcomm. That thing has been coiling up and trying to hit that 161 and change, 162 level. It broke it. It finally broke it. You might get some nice move in Qualcomm now. Okay. Snowflake up 0.94 is the relager. Disney, Johnson & Johnson. All right, let's go to granular. Woo, there's our Intel. There's our Intel up 29 point, almost 30%. All right, that's that NVDA collaboration. NVIDIA collaboration. Okay. ASML up 6.91. IonQ quantum computing, that's been a beast lately, up 6.56. Applied Materials Semi up 5.90. This is why semiconductors are up so much. CrowdStrike Cybersecurity up 5.24. Lam Research Semi up 4.76. SoundHound, that's that NVIDIA thing. Oklo, that's your uranium. I'm sorry, nuclear energy. Lululemon, look at this. Chris Therapeutics, PayPal. PayPal just had a thing with Google. Micron Semi, Enphase Solar, Riot, that's blockchain. Reddit, you know what that is. AI, all right, so a lot of stocks up today. Let's see who the little laggers are today. Unity Software is down almost 4%. ARMS Semi down 3.56. Taiwan Semiconductors down 2.98. Interesting, right? Alibaba down 1.82. All right. Let's move on to sectors. Semis up 3.14%. Wow, wow, wow. We are making new highs as I'm watching the NASDAQ futures right now. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Followed by technology, 1.52. Remember, semis are encompassed by XLK. Your discretionary, 0.56, up 0.56. That's your Tesla, your Amazon, Home Depot. Industrials, up 0.54. That's your GE, your Uber, your CAT, your Boeing. Energy's up 0.49. Chevron, Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Occidental Petroleum. And your financials up 0.43. That's your Berkshire Hathaways, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Real estate up 0.26. Communications up 0.22. Meta, Google, Netflix. Basic materials up 0.20. Utilities up. And there's nothing down, folks. No, nothing down. All right. Let's go over to economic calendar. Economic calendar. In some news here. Today we have initial jobless claims coming out in a couple minutes. They don't usually move markets that much anymore. 8:30 a.m. Philly Fed, maybe. We'll see. I'm not going to read too much into that. The market's gapping up huge. So let's look at the juice. We got Trump today. Trump is a busy schedule today. All right, and he's in the UK. So Trump, Starmer and business leaders speak. That's already happened. That's happening now. 9:20, Trump and UK Prime Minister Starmer press conference. Definitely going to be listening. That's about it there. I thought Trump had another thing. Maybe that got taken off the schedule. Now, we're going to look at some stock news. Intel stock surged 28% after NVIDIA, up 3.1%, announced a $5 billion investment in the chip maker. Okay. AMD stock fell 5.8% after rivals NVIDIA and Intel announced a strategic collaboration to develop AI infrastructure and personal computing products together. Alphabet. Google stock rose 1%. The Financial Times reported that China has decided to drop its antitrust investigation. I told you that earlier. Let's see. Novo Nordisk stock soared. Novo Nordisk. I did have an alert yesterday to go long, but I just don't trust this market. But it's moving pretty nicely this morning. Stock soared 7.4% after the drug maker said late-stage trial results for its once daily obesity pill showed significant weight reduction. All right, Cracker Barrel stock dropped 7.2% after the restaurant chain's fourth quarter earnings missed expectations. Remember, Cracker Barrel changed that logo and then changed it back. American Express stock rose 1.5 after the credit card giant unveiled long-awaited upgrades to its U.S. Platinum cards, adding new perks worth over $3,500 annually by raising the annual fee by $2. Moving on. Disney, ABC yanks Jimmy Kimmel Live off air after remarks about Kirk. I saw that they were doing it, suspending it, but I think they did it indefinitely now. Maybe that might be why Disney's down a little bit. Automakers have resisted raising car prices because of tariffs. That might not last. We already know Beijing's dropping Google probe. From Skechers to Foot Locker, tariff chaos spurs record high footwear apparel deals. Meta launches smart glasses with built-in display, reaching for super intelligence. Meta Platforms on Wednesday launched its first consumer-ready smart glasses with a built-in display, seeking to extend the momentum of its Ray-Ban line, one of the early consumer hits of the artificial intelligence era. What I did see, I saw Zuckerberg talking to, I guess, a coworker, well, an employee, and they were having the glasses on, and it was transcribing live dialogue in the glasses. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Moving on. Let's see what else is in the news here. Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase and Company, Wells Fargo and Company, major U.S. lenders lowered a key interest rate on Wednesday, providing U.S. consumers a reprieve on borrowing costs. After the Federal Reserve cut interest rates for the first time this year, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America lowered their prime lending rates to 7.25 from 7.5. Moving on. Let's see here. A lot of news today. Alphabet. Piper Sandler raises target price to 285 from 220. CrowdStrike. Jeffrey raises target price to 515 from 500. Wow. Remember when that stock dropped down to like $300? When that outage happened? I was on vacation and I was like, maybe I'll nibble here. Well, I never seen a lawsuit come that really took them down. So Nike, Barclays raises target price to 65 from 64. Reddit, Piper Sandler raises target price 290 from 210. All right, that is that. I think we should check in with the breath. My little breath here. We're gonna go right here. Yesterday it was at 32. Today, 42% of the stocks in the S&P 500 are over their 20-day simple moving average. That's not that strong, to be honest with you. Because remember, the overall market is equal weight right in this thing, and that just shows me that the overall market isn't that bullish. But market cap weight stocks move our market. That's how it works. All right. Now, let's move over to let's just see some. Sorry about that. Let me just see some upgrades. Let's see if there's some upgrades here. Probably Nike upgraded. We know about that already. Downgrades. Let's see. No, that's stunk for downgrades. Let's move on to daily charts. Let's go to our good SPY here. Let's go to dailies. Dailies. Like I said, not much to read into yesterday. Hit the 988 daily. Really, like I said, I'm not interested in those days, right? Where are we now? 663. We're already up here. See what I'm talking about? Today's the real day. 663.65. It's not even on this chart. Okay, it's not even on this chart. We'll look at futures. And you're probably going to go close to this trend channel line up here. Well, let's just see. Let's look at the futures. Let's look at the futures. There we are. Okay, you're getting some selling. Interesting just now. Made an all-time high, 67.19. Okay, that's an all-time high. In the ES, we're pulling back a little bit in the ES. All right, Nasdaq's finally pulling back a little bit. Nasdaq's finally pulling back a little bit. Let's see here. I'm just looking at the futures chart real quick. All right. Now, That's what's going on. I mean, at all-time highs. Like I said, this is not the real day to trade that. So we are going to go QQQ. How did that fare yesterday? Hit the 9 EMA daily, broke this trend. Get rid of that. But this doesn't mean much. Where are we now? 596.30, 596.30, way up. I mean, you're out of this chart. 596.30, 596.30. You're $6.30 above yesterday's close. Jeez, unbelievable. Nasdaq futures. There we go. We'll see it here. Look at that move. Oof. Look at that move. We're making new weekly ranges. Wow. Wowzer, wowzer. New all-time highs. What can stop this market? It's unbelievable. Really, truly unbelievable. Okay? Let's just real quick look at the 10-year yield. We're tapping this 3.99 yield and we keep bouncing off of it. The longer we stay here, maybe, let's see what we do. If we drop under here, woo, that's going to mean people are buying bonds. And let's just look at the dollar. The dollar has really fallen. Look at that fall. Broke here. Maybe a double bottom here. Now you get a lift. A weak dollar is pretty good for decently good for equities and commodities. Okay. We'll have to see. I don't really know what's going to happen from here. This has been pretty beaten down. It really hasn't gotten much up. If this does catch a bid, that would not bode well usually for the stock market. So we'll have to see. Okay. We're going to move on to hourlies. There's actually, you know what? I don't see much in the hourly that I'm going to be able to be like, check that out. So we'll skip that. I'm not going to sit here and waste your time talking about the hourlies when they're just gapping up. It's a huge gap up. We're going to just go right into our market profile, volume profile analysis. All right. And to believe it or not, what I'm looking at right now, you're going to see it in a second, is balance, folks. We made a bell curve. We made a bell curve. And this is our market profile and volume profile analysis, folks. We have a beautiful bell curve. Now, if anybody watches me, what do you think this means? What do you think this means? I will answer. This could mean that's the move, folks. This is the rolling week, right? And just ironically, the excesses from yesterday, you have value here, and you have thin excess here. That's a bell curve. That means the auction's complete. What does the market need to do to move higher? Well, the most traded price of the week is 66.70. You need to make price pull value up. Make that most traded price of the week go up. You need to get more volume up here. Otherwise, you're going to return back to 66.70. Okay? Very important to realize that. All right? Very important to realize that. We are gapping up. So, interesting. Okay, big level here. Big level. So, you have a big demand zone here. Okay? Check this out. That box, beautiful, has a lot of levels in it. So what is in that level? Demand zone. Most traded price of the overnight. The 50% retracement of the overnight. You have the yesterday's highs. Right? And that is a nice pullback level. Right? What else do I notice? In the profile of the overnight, we have an incomplete profile to the upside. We have a bullish imbalance, folks. Look at all this volume. And you have a triple top. 30-minute triple top. That's called a poor high. Okay? That usually gets corrected. We usually do not make all-time highs in the overnight sessions. That's generally not a secure level. Okay? So, right here, poor high, you got a little supply zone. We're going to mark that off. We're going to mark that off. Now, you have the middle of a seesaw here would be your 6670s. So this is where value is. So this area here with this demand zone and the overnight lows, 666 zeros. You want to stay above that if you're a bull. If you're a bull, give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. My daughter's just getting ready to go to school. All right, so 6660, that's your last defense for bulls. And you have single prints here, right? Right here, thin little volume. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Now, let's break this out. Big gaps are not easy. Okay. Gap fills your 6680, 6686 and a halves. Okay. Now, this market's nuts. So why don't we break this out here? You'll see that triple top at the top there. There's that triple top. Let's get into some scenarios. Let's just put a little box here with these single prints. All right. We're going to start with a bull side, and we're going to start with scenarios. Okay. So, market's pulling back. You got some single prints right here, actually. Okay. So, what I want to see, single prints, take those out. Fine. Go into this demand zone. That's the 50% retracement of this move. That's your gap fill right here. A lot of levels in here. And you could definitely just do this, and take out the 6720s and dribble up to new all-time highs. All right. Let me get rid of that and change my color to green because we're going for longs. So remember, come in here, fill that gap, boom, boom, take out that triple top. That should cause a move to all-time highs. That to me is like picture perfect. Really is. Okay, really is. Now, what if we do this? Rip up, right? Start to move up. Then you got to have a pullback here, and maybe we dribble up into close. Okay, now if it's quick, we could go drop down. That's your last line here, the 6670s, and maybe you bounce here. That's it for longs. Okay. Short side, short side. So if I'm a short, what I want to see, okay, would be any pullback that breaks all-time highs, that gets a quick rejection and a lower high. You're going to want to take out this volume here, right? And you're probably going to test this demand zone and fill the gap. That's a great trade in itself for a short. Fills the gap, right? You might get the bounce here that I just talked about. Now, what if you fill that gap, right? And you start going into range. You're going to hit the 6670s is what you're going to do in this demand zone. That could be it as well. But what if the market panics and says, uh-oh, you break this 666 zeros. Let me tell you something, folks. And this market is really weak and you consolidate, you could really rip and go all the way back down to the 6600s. Okay? This could get nasty. That's what I'm looking at. All right? That's your ES. Let's do the NASDAQ. right, let's look at the NASDAQ together. Same thing for the profile. That's a completed auction, folks. That's a bell curve. All right. And your price that we're looking at is 24540. That's the most traded price of the rolling week. That is your reversion to the mean. That's the mean. Okay. Market can't pull that price up. We're going to return back to the 24540s. Okay. So NASDAQ obviously has semis and the XLK, right? So that's pretty strong right now, up 3%. Semis up almost 1.5%. The XLK. That's why this is relatively stronger. All right. So let's mark off some levels. You got a demand here, obviously. Demand here, obviously. Okay. Now in this one, 50% retracement is right here. So in this one right here, you have 50% retracement of the overnights. Okay. Now look, this is very interesting. The most traded price of the overnight is way up in the session here. That's pretty bullish. Okay. 24726s. Okay. 24726s. Now, we do have your 24540 is the most traded price of the week, and the gap fill right here. Okay. And we're going to put a little box around this because that's the demand zone and the most traded price of the overnight. Okay. So let's spread these out. Spread the overnight session out. We don't have any poor highs. Okay. We do have a poor low, actually, double bottom here. We are pretty much, I didn't mention this, we are pretty much almost 95% net long and at the top of the session. That's ripe for a pullback usually. Okay. Now, let's do some bull sides. All right. So let's do scenarios here. And we're going to do bull side. All right. Number one. Okay. NASDAQ, make all-time highs. Boop. Get a nasty pullback back to demand, back to the most traded price overnight. If the market's pretty strong off the open, this is probably supportive and we make all-time highs. Now, the NASDAQ has got more pullback in it than the ES, okay? Now, if we get a more violent pullback through the most traded price, this should cause some selling. If you break that little support around the 247s, you're going to come through the single prints, and you got the next demand zone. All right, plus the 50% retracement of the overnight. So you could also come in here, find some love, go up. Okay. Now, the difference in the NASDAQ, you're so far away from the gap fill that if you did fill the gap, come all the way down, fill that gap right there, you are at the most traded price of the week. Okay. Now, if you fall that much, that probably means the market isn't very strong. So caution here, but you could get a bounce. Okay, you could get a bounce. That's about all for the longs, for the bulls. Now, short side. I already mentioned we're about 95% net long in the overnights. Okay, people are getting paid from these lows. All right, so what do we got to do? Well, we have to come up here, make all-time highs, and then get a couple lower highs. If you come through to 24726s, that's the most traded price of the overnight, you will get some selling. And you got to break the 247s. You got thin volume here, you should clean that. Then you go into this demand with the 50% retracement. Okay, if the market starts to panic, we're going back to value, folks. 24540, that's a monster trade. Okay, if you take out this demand and start to hold, wow, oh wow, it could really bleed out and you can go to 24250s. Now, I don't know if that happens, but I do know this is pretty bullish, pretty overdone. And again, I don't predict, I react. So all I know is all this euphoria can go like that, and there's panic in the streets. Okay? There's panic in the streets. So we'll have to see. All right, that's my scenarios today, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please smash that like button for me. Please smash it. That helps my channel out. Okay? And as always, please subscribe. Set an alert. Let me tell you the market story, the economic calendar, the market news, the leaders and the laggards, and what's moving our markets. Okay, I'm going to give you the technical analysis. I'm going to give you the long and short trade scenarios, which I just gave you, the NASDAQ futures and the ES futures. Let me be your morning cup of coffee, tea, water, whatever you choose to drink. Let me be your podcast for the morning. Okay, pretty easy. Listen to your boy, and I just give you all the information that you need to know about what's moving the markets for real. Okay, not going to give you any hyperbole. I'm going to give you the real deal. Okay, now if you want more in depth, let me be your indicator. You're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Okay, get my weekly expected move indicator. It's free. I don't know how much longer. It will be free. It is a huge edge. Huge. Huge. Okay. Intraday commentary. You'll get a lot of information from me during the day. Now today, I might go live today. Let me know in the comments if you sign up, if you want me to go live. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to share my reading of the markets with you. Okay, I'll be happy to do it. Just sign up. Okay, sign up. Everybody, have a great day. Remember, no trade's a trade. Stay green. Hope everybody has a great day. I'm hoping to see you in my Discord. If not, I will see everybody tomorrow. Quad witching tomorrow. All right? Everybody have a great